What's going on, fight fans? How is everybody doing tonight? It's your girl, No Mercy here. It's Tuesday night, so you already know what time it is. It's time for No Punches Pulled with No Mercy. Some of you probably already know who I am. For those that are new and do not know who I am, my name is Brooke Millbrook, formerly known as Brooke No Mercy Deerdorf in the fight game. I am a retired professional boxer, held the WBC lightweight title until I retired, and was inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame last year, 2022. I've been through some good, some bad, and of course, a lot of BS in this game of women's boxing. Welcome to my platform. This is where we talk the talk and we walk the walk. We're going to be speaking with past boxers, current boxers, future boxers, all different female fighters. You can hear their stories and learn a lot from these ladies. We're going to get down and dirty, speak the truth of what takes place in women's boxing. You definitely don't want to miss a show, so please make sure you like, subscribe, and you share it with your friends. Let's get some more people in here. Let's get the show spread. Today, though, y'all, today we have a very special guest in the house. I'm super excited to talk to this young lady. We've got Zion Hensley, a.k.a. Z, in the building. She is an up-and-coming rising star in the amateur boxing world. At only 13 years old, she's ranked number 2 at 101 and 106 pounds in the intermediate rankings. She is Youngstown, Ohio's first female national champion. She's 3-time Junior Olympics gold champion, USA national gold champion, and qualifier champion. Joining her today is her coaches, Alecia DeFrank and Kelly Pavlik. Please help me welcome them to the show.
Hello.
Hello, guys. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I'm super excited to have you guys here. How are you, Zion?
Good. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. Thanks for taking the time to join me. So let's first start off with Zion. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're from, how you're a little bit about your background, how you've grown up so far, and how you got interested in boxing at such a very young age?
Well, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, and I go to Youngstown Salem Boxing Club. And I started boxing at the age of 8, and I found some equipment in my aunt's basement, and then just saw it down there. And my uncle always used to watch boxing, so then I just, and then kind of got into it.
Okay, cool. Now, I hear your dad was a little bit hesitant at first about letting you take up boxing. I'm sure as his little girl, he was a little bit nervous about that.
Yeah, he didn't
in there. But eventually he gave in. You were persistent and stuck with it, and eventually he gave in. So was he real resistant or just a little bit? I'm sure you got him wrapped around your finger, so it probably didn't take much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about the very first time, once he took you to the gym, you stepped in the boxing gym, you saw everything going on. Just tell us how you felt in your first experience in a gym.
Well, I didn't really feel anything because I knew I wanted to box, but I didn't know it was going to get like as serious as it is. And I definitely know that my dad did not want me to box, but I did. And then I guess it just took off from there.
Yeah, I feel you. Mine was a little bit switched. I've always been athletic. I joined the Army after high school. I got into boxing after that, but my dad was all about it because I don't know, he's my dad and he likes that stuff. My mom was the one who didn't want me to box. Mm-hmm. Granted, she came to every fight and you could hear her over everybody, but she hated it. Just the protective instincts of a parent, Mm-hmm. But from the very beginning, you definitely had some rough sparring sessions, I hear, with the boys. Mm-hmm. Did that affect you at all in the beginning, or how did you tough it out and decide, you know what, I'm going to show them?
Well, I didn't really think I was going to show them, but I didn't give up because one time I sparred a tough kid when I first started. And I didn't do the best. So then the next day I still came back and I just kept with it.
Yeah. Which usually that's, I've known for most females, almost every female I've talked to, that's the first interaction we've all had in walking into the gym, sparring with the guy, and they want to just totally embarrass you and make you give up. But when you come back the next day, you kind of earn that respect. Did you feel like you earned their respect a little bit by coming back?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Mostly the coaches, though, not really the
I
fight.
mean, yeah, the coaches are the most important. Yeah. They just want to see how tough you really are. But usually coming back, that kind of, you earn their respect, which is what we all want, is just respect as females.
Mhm.
But you did have your very first boxing match at the tender age of 9. Tell us about that first fight and how you felt competing for the first time.
Well, I was like 9 years old, and I fought in Akron, and I actually won my first fight by stoppage.
Okay,
Actually,
nice.
yeah, and it was pretty
I
cool.
bet that felt really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree there. I'm super jealous. I didn't start boxing till after the Army, so I was like maybe 22 years old when I started boxing. So I'm so excited to see all the young girls now starting so young. Like, it makes me happy. Like, I just get all warm inside thinking about the girls starting off like the guys at such a young age. The opportunities just weren't there for me then. So that's awesome. So you did start working with Kelly, Kelly Pavlik. You started working with him full time. I believe your dad said probably around the age of 10 or so.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, were you super like excited how the first time you met him? I mean, he's an icon in the sport. So like, was that super nervous for you, or just happy?
I don't think there was. I wouldn't say it was nerve, because I kind of forget, because I don't think I met him the first time through strength and conditioning. It had to have been, I think it was somewhere else, probably like a fight or something. But yeah, I met him, and then I got strength and conditioning stuff with him.
Okay, cool. So Kelly, I know, I mean, I know all about you. I'm in the boxing game, been in the business for a very long time. I know who you are. I know all about you. But before I start asking you some questions about Zion, do you kind of want to let people know who maybe don't know who you are, a little bit about your background and how you got into coaching after?
Yeah. A 3-time former middleweight champion, WBC, WBO, and ring lineal champion. And I after the boxing career, I really got into strength and conditioning as well. So, through all the years of boxing, I was always a student of the game, always like an open book, and always like learning. You get some guys that have the talent and they just go right through the process and do what they do, and some become students of the game, and that was one of the big things I liked. But also, I've always had a big thing for like strength and conditioning, and even when I was fighting, I would kind of do my own thing off of aside of the strength conditioning coaches I had. I would kind of do my own thing, on the side. So, I ended up opening a gym up after I retired, probably about 4 or 5 years after I retired. And it was a strength and conditioning gym that I pretty much came across. My old strength and conditioning coach was moving back out west. So, perfect opportunity to buy it and do what I love doing. And from that point on, I've worked in everything as far as from powerlifting to CrossFit to strength conditioning for athletes.
Okay.
Right now I'm probably overall, at one point I had like 31 athletes from football, baseball, boxing, wrestling, which is great, because you get to do different things with them and learn different stuff on, different exercises and fast twitch muscles. But Zion, her dad came to me and told me she wanted to box. And at the time she was really young. So, like even girl, boy, no matter what age, it was just that very young age. And I was like, okay. Really haven't worked with too many fighters, but especially being that young. And she came in. We started off just by hitting pads, and my gym wasn't a boxing gym, so it was kind of hard in there. So I kind of got her moving a little bit on that. And she ended up going to my old trainer's gym, Jack, and she ended up coming back to me for a little while after that. And again, kind of at that point, I didn't have a boxing gym, so I didn't want to hold her back as far as the sparring. And then she was very fortunate to find Rocky and Alecia, and they took over from there. I still work with her on the strength conditioning. I give pointers where they're needed, but at the same time, when she's learning from Rocky and Alecia, I don't want to say anything or ruin what they're doing with her or confuse, because as a fighter,
Yes.
especially young, you hear one thing and somebody else tells you something that just kind of confuses, and then a kid more so gets kind of caught in the middle of what they're supposed to do. So
Yeah.
she's doing great right now. The strength and conditioning is going great, and yeah, that's how the whole thing went. But she's been resilient and dedicated to the sport, since she started.
Yeah.
Which is a rarity, at that age.
Very rare. And I kind of giggled when you said about at such a young age, because I have two daughters, a 19-year-old that literally she's 19, nothing to do with boxing, but she grew up in the gym because when I started fighting after I had her is when I started competing. So we lived in the gym. It was work 9 to 5 and gym 5:30 to 9, 10 o'clock at night. So we lived in the gym. She wanted nothing to do with fighting. And then we have an 11-year-old daughter, and she is all about a totally different kid, night and day. They're one's the sun and one's the moon, I'm telling you. But she wants to learn, and she just turned 11. And we mess with her with it a little bit, but she's not mentally ready. She's not mentally there yet to take it serious enough. My husband was my trainer in the end of my career. So my mitt guy. So he's I just can't, one, it's his kid. So he would get really frustrated with her. And two, she's not taking it serious enough yet. So he's give it another year or so when she can really focus and take it serious. Cause it's a serious business. But she wants to go to the gym. She's I want to spar. I want to do all that. And maybe a little bit longer. She's not quite matured yet. They're all different. They all mature at different ages, but she's just not quite ready. And then our third one is, we finally had our son, but he's not even 2 yet. So we have no idea what he's going to do. We'll see what happens. Yep. But initially, you kind of said, but what was your first initial reaction and thoughts of her when she first started?
Well, when she first started, natural ability, of course, to grow through all the sports. I'm sorry, guys. I had to use my phone. I got home late. So if it's a little shaky, that's my bad. I was trying to get it on my computer, but not enough time for it. But yeah, she came in, a newbie and a kid. But what I did notice was her punches, just, straight down the middle. It seemed like she already had the basic fundamentals down.
Yeah.
And then the big thing was every time you talked to her, you could just see that she was learning. She was looking at you. She wasn't off. Again, I work with young kids that are in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. And at that point, the attention span's not there. So you kind of got to give them easy exercises just to get them moving, right? That they could follow. Yeah. Z, on the other hand, was totally different. It was everything you told her. She just absorbed it. And I knew at that point that she was going to be something. I know a lot of people say that, but I knew she was going to, I shouldn't say that she was going to be something, but that she was going to be easy to coach. She was going to be easy for anyone else to coach because she's dedicated. She's, committed to it. She's eager to learn. And she had the basic fundamentals down, which is a big part of boxing. And it saves a lot of time and patience when somebody got the fundamentals down, because that's the biggest part of.
Yes. Yeah. The very beginning, that's always the hardest, because especially when they're new and they're young and they just want to get in there and spar, but they're not ready. You got to learn the fundamentals. You got to learn the basics before you.
Well, yeah, the basics is, the basics start, that's the power. That's where the foundation begins. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of kids get involved in it and they really never learn that. And, it's usually sometimes where the bad habits are hard to break.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So Zion, in those first few years working kind of solely with Kelly in the beginning, what do you feel like you learned or improved on most in the beginning?
I would say definitely my speed and agility and my fast twitch stuff and the ability to react really quick.
Okay, that's good. That's very well, especially with the speed and agility. The speed was paying off then, right? Speed was paying off. So shortly after that, I think it was probably the first time you won one of your medals. Tell us about the tournament and the first time you won a medal and how rewarding that was for you.
I think it was Louisiana, right? Wasn't it Louisiana?
It was in Texas.
Was it Texas?
Yeah, it was the Junior Olympics in 2021.
Okay, yeah, it was the Junior Olympics in 2021. And I got my first medal. I was so happy. And then I'm pretty sure afterwards I actually went on they had also kind of a podcast that you went on, and I had headphones on and stuff. And then we did couple minutes with that.
Okay. So yeah, a little bit. Did you feel like everything's kind of coming together and it all was paying off? You finally got that medal?
Yes. I was so happy.
Yeah. I know your dad told me the first 2 years you won, I think when you first started, the Silver Shreveport LA 2020 and the USA NBC 2020 National Silver Medals.
Yes.
Do you remember those tournaments? Can you tell us a little bit like how many times you had to fight and stuff like that?
I had to fight twice. One of them I'm pretty sure I got a bye and then fought in the championship. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Alecia, can you first tell everyone a little bit about your boxing experience, your background, and how you found yourself becoming a boxing coach?
Well, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. I first ended up in a boxing gym because my husband and his brother used to like box back in the day. And then when I met him, I was always athletic. I always played sports. And I decided to do boxing because I wanted to see how far I can excel in a sport since like I was out of high school and I first walked into a boxing gym when I was 18. And like the coaches just kind of saw me like hitting the bag and thought I had like some power and I was a female and that didn't kind of look like a man. So I thought maybe they could do something with me, I guess. But
yeah, a little bit.
But like my boxing career really didn't take off until I like moved out of Youngstown and went down to Florida because I didn't really know about the amateur game with like the nationals and everything. So I got around a team down there, and that's when I started like competing at the national level, and then I was able to try to take a run for the first ever women's Olympic team. But then it kind of got cut short because they ended up not picking my weight class to be in it.
Yeah, they only had 3.
Yeah, they only had 3. And then we ended up moving back from Florida to Ohio. So when you have like a good team around you and they can carry you, and I came back to Youngstown and tried to do the boxing, but it just wasn't the same. So my coach and I had a really great relationship. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you first started working with Zion, can you tell us like your first initial reaction and thoughts about
my first initial reaction? I was like, it was back in May in 2021, I think. And I was like, well, why would she want to come to me? She's been working with Kelly Pavlik. What can I do to teach her, So, but then I started working with her, and what I noticed was like, I know Kelly's a pro, so she had like kind of like a pro style where she kind of waited and stuff like that. And I knew like in the amateurs, you have to pick up the pace. You can't wait. So I think like with her boxing knowledge that she had, and then my knowledge of the amateur sport, she was able to pick up her punch count and her volume. And then that's when we really seen her starting, to win at the national level.
Yeah, there is definitely it's 100% difference. And I think most people that haven't actually boxed, even if they've watched it, don't understand the difference between the amateur level and the pro level as far as the different styles that you have to have.
Yeah.
I've known many, many amateur fighters who are phenomenal amateur fighters, probably undefeated amateur fighters, and I can't tell you how many bouts, and went pro and couldn't cut it as a pro because it is 2 totally different styles, and you have to adjust big time. Yeah, amateurs is totally 100% point. It's point for point. It's just who can hit the most. It doesn't even matter really if you hurt them or it's just point. Whereas the pros, it's if you try to do that and you're fighting an experienced fighter, you're going to get knocked.
Usually in nationals, you'll see all these kids just throwing punches and that's it.
Yeah.
Usually, and then end up getting 8 counts. Like if you get hit with 1 punch, they'll give you an 8 count.
8 count. Yeah.
But if you get to like the elites or youth, you'll see them slow down and kind of calm themselves down and not have as much output as they did.
It's amazing to me watching the difference. I don't know. I was able to adapt to both, and obviously Kelly knows. I mean, he's done both, but it's kind of for fans watching. You really have to understand the difference, because just because you're phenomenal at one style doesn't mean you can adjust to being in the pros. It's totally different. But starting at such a young age, you've definitely got a good advantage. I mean, I started late, and I only had 15 amateur fights before I went pro. But just because I couldn't find a lot of fights back then. But I mean, it's I'm just so happy to see all these girls like succeeding now and getting these opportunities. Now I know at this stage right now, like Kelly mentioned, Alecia is the head boxing coach. Kelly does the strength and conditioning and the agility. Can each of you, Kelly and Alecia, kind of give your roles as far as like training regimens with Zion and like kind of like walk us through some of her training?
Yeah, Alecia, you go first if you want.
Okay, so I know, like with the other athletes here, she just comes in and does strictly like boxing. Like we'll work on the mitts together, work on different combinations, and then there's like a certain way that I have them rotate on like the bags to where they're learning the outside fighting game, to learn the inside fighting game, to learn the angles on different things. And that's kind of like how I work with her with that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. And then, I go off of, so I'm real big on, again, with the speed and especially in boxing, reaction time, fast twitch muscle, which is probably the most important in boxing. And, a little bit of cardio or endurance, but the real endurance is going to come from boxing. You know what I mean? There's, you could help it a little bit with the strength conditioning and things like that, but you're never going to be able to really replicate a boxing cardio unless you're doing a boxing. And even with that being said, that's going to come from your hand pads and sparring, So like I'm big on her doing other stuff too. Like if she has time where it's not cutting away from boxing, but doing other sports, like, I'm a big fan of her doing track. I think that's helped tremendously with boxing. Z for a little while there with the head movement was kind of, she throw quick punches, no head movement. And I think, at the boxing gym and along with the track, just getting that spring in the legs really helped on that. But I'm also real big on rest, not overdoing it. Kids, like I said before, kids are resilient, they're durable, but at the same time, they get wore down, they get tired. And so if she had a long day at track or she sparred a lot of rounds the other day before that, when she comes in, I pretty much put her through a quick speed one. So that way when she leaves, she still feels pretty fresh, but she was able to get that, the speed and agility, or I may put her on some reaction time. But, and a lot of stuff I do, was doing with her, not recently, but getting her ready for track too, so that's kind of like where my place comes in. I just see how much she's working, what she's been doing, and then kind of plan to work out around that.
Okay. Yeah, I know people always ask me all the time, like, what's the best, they always ask, athletes in general, like the best workout. And I always say boxing. Just because it's boxing. If you literally do boxing and you do it the right way, it's a full workout from head to toe. Like you'll hurt in places you didn't even know possibly existed that you could hurt in. And it's good for endurance and everything. But I always tell people there's a huge difference between just being in shape. Like people think they're in shape, and I'm like, you can't go one round sparring. It's a big difference. I mean, do people ask you that all the time too, Zion? Like, or do you tell people there's a big difference? Like, even the track runners, I can guarantee most of the girls that you run track with probably couldn't spar 1 3-minute round because the endurance and the intensity, and you have to be is a totally different being in shape. Just being in shape.
It looks easy. Like if you watch them spar, it just looks like you're throwing punches, but it's way more than that because it's all on your feet, your legs, your arms, everything.
Yeah, your entire body is being used. And that's what I always laugh at people. And I've had people come in and they're like, oh, I could go around with you. I'm like, anytime, just come up to the gym. And a lot of times they would come and they might last a minute, maybe a minute. And that's me, us going light with them because it's funny to me, like that people just don't understand the difference. But Zion, tell us, what is your favorite part about training, or what is it that you like doing best?
Fighting.
Well, obviously the fighting, but like in training, like sparring then? Is that
no, I wouldn't say
look forward to.
Probably favorite part, probably hitting mitts.
Hitting mitts? Okay.
Yeah.
That was my favorite too.
Like, so usually back when I was like younger, like when I was 10, 11, I would not move my head at all. But now I feel like it's more fun. So like when I watch my fights afterwards and I see like me slipping these punches, I'm like, oh, that looks so good because I actually see it working. Because
Yeah,
usually
that's so
I
true.
used to be in my head, but now I am. So
Yeah, and that's funny because there was one fight of mine that I had. I was more of a, people always referred to me as like a Mike Tyson style without the head movement. So I was a brawler. I'm not a boxer. I wasn't a boxer. I wasn't a pretty fighter. I was a brawler. But so I would jump on people, and people who were boxed couldn't handle the pressure. So that was the difference. But there was one fight where so many people were like, you got to learn head movement. You got to learn to box. Like you can still use but to me, like my offense was my defense because nobody could stop my offense. So why change it? But so I'm like, all right, fine. My next fight, like I'm just gonna work on defense. So my whole training camp was strictly defense. And I went in there like the first 2-3 rounds, I was slipping and moving and dodging, and I never got touched. The problem was I was so focused on my defense. That's all I was thinking about. So I wasn't punching. So neither one of us were getting hit because I was slipping and dodging, but I wasn't countering or punching. So I sat down on the stool after like the third round. I'm like, I can't do this no more. Like I have to like just be me. But so it's hard. But like I said, I started late in my career. Or I started later in my career with the amateurs. I was punch, and then, going straight to the pros. But it is a lot of work, and it's hard work to do the defense, but it is rewarding when you see that. And when I went, like you said, when I went back and watched the tape, I was like, wow, like that looks really nice. Like I moved and slipped and she never touched me. But it took a long time to really be able to incorporate the two together, like the offense with the defense and the countering and the punching and the slipping. It takes a lot of work. But so we're talking about fighting. That's your favorite part. What's your favorite punch and why?
5'2". Because I would say that's how I don't know. I would say that was my heart. That's my hardest punch. Okay. I like to slip outside and then throw 5'2".
Okay. Okay. I got you. Yeah, mine was left hook upper or right hook upper side left hook. So uppercut on the inside with follow with the left hook. Kelly, what was your favorite punch? I mean, you had lots of combinations. What was your favorite punch?
Probably the 3-2, the hook straight right. And I was always a big fan, and that's why I tell a lot of young kids that I do work with, or a 3-5, things like that, setting them up to where the hands come up, or where you're blinding them or faking them, somewhere where they leave an opening, for you to target. But I would say overall, I had some sneaky ones, but the right hand, I think everybody knows the right hand was the
was the punch. Yeah. What about you, Alecia? What was your favorite combination?
Probably a 5'2" as well. I just watched one of my old fights and I hit a girl really good with that. So
nice.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. So now, Zion, so far in your young career, I can't say your whole career, but your young career, you have managed to accumulate 3-time junior Olympic gold, USA national gold, and qualifier gold medalist. Can you tell us which one of those means the most to you and why?
Probably the last one, definitely, because one of them I got what was it? Not a buy. What is it called when you like walkover? Yeah, walkover for I think it was my first one for the Junior Olympics. So it was good, but I didn't feel like it really I still won because I showed up and they didn't, but I just didn't feel like it was that important to me. But probably the last one because I had to fight the whole time. I had to fight.
What did 2-3 times? Probably 3 times, I would imagine.
2, well, kind of 3. I got a bye from my other fights at nationals because the amount of points that I had, and then I fought the girl who won against the other girl in the first day when I got the bye. Then I fought her, and then I got another match about the other girl in my bracket.
Okay, all right. So what did it feel like when you got your hand raised and you got up on that?
It was good. I was really happy.
Really happy. That's it? No other emotions, just happy?
Yes. Well, yeah.
She
Did you
runs
get
and jumps into
special?
her dad's arms.
Yeah, I ran and jumped into my dad's arms.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. I was just saying, like, there has to be more to it than I was just happy.
Yeah.
Um,
And then afterwards, I ate peanut M&Ms.
I was gonna say, what was the go-to after food? Because there's always like something that you go to as soon as you have a fight. Like, I have to eat this.
Yeah, it was, well, usually before I would eat like a couple peanut M&Ms, but now it's been like afterwards.
Okay, I got you. So what is your next short-term goal? Like, what's your next short-term goal that you hope to accomplish?
Short term, Olympics wouldn't be short term.
probably the women's championships.
Yeah, so there's one coming up in July.
Yeah, that's what I was
It's
thinking.
like it's like a women's tournament, so that would be the next one, and it's
Okay.
international too. So that
Yes.
would be it.
Yes, I heard about it. So I'm super excited about that. And for you, that's going to be an amazing all-female tournament. That's awesome. Big step for women's boxing. So tell everybody, like, how do you balance the intense training? Because I know you do multiple trainings, not just going to the gym once, like you do multiple things, and you run track. So explain, how do you balance your intense training regimens and your schoolwork?
Usually I get all my stuff done in school. I'm not saying I'm rushing on it. I get it done so I have time to do my sports. But like, because I get straight A's right now, so like I balance it because once in a while I have to do something at home, but like I'll balance it because the gym's at like 4, so I always have time at home to do it if I have to.
Okay, makes sense. How would you say that you handle your nerves before fights?
I don't really get that nervous. I mean, I don't really get that nervous. Like, I'd say my first couple fights I did.
Come on now, be honest with me. Now I know
She gets excited.
I get excited.
I think I get nervous more than her.
Dude, yeah, she gets way more nervous than me. Yeah.
Z, I know you're lying because every fighter gets nervous.
I was gonna say, like, I can remember my entire career all the way up until my very last fight.
Yeah, I'm always happy and smiling and drinking water and hitting mitts. That's
Come on,
about it. Before.
Admitting he got nervous. Everybody gets. It's abnormal if you're not nervous before a fight.
I do a little bit, like a tiny.
So what do you do to calm yourself? How do you keep yourself so calm then?
I just kind of hang out. Like, I don't really get myself worked up. I don't really like use all my energy, because usually when I hit mitts like before, just like a couple punches, I don't go all out. Like, I keep myself calm.
It's a good poker face.
That's what I do.
I'm sitting here like, come on now. I know you're pulling my leg, but I'm gonna let it slide. But I know you got nerves, but we're gonna just keep on. We're gonna keep on going with that one. So now I know you personally told me that you want to do the 2028 Olympics. That's like your next, not long term, but in the distant future goal. Is there anything that you feel, or what do you feel like you need to really work on or focus before that time comes?
I would say I'm not crowding my punches as much. Like I don't think I'm doing it horrible, but like I need to get my distance worked out more. Because like usually I'll step in too much, which I've been getting out of the habit of stepping back now. But like I'll either step in too much or not step in at all and then not get there. So I'd say that would be the main thing. Because my head movement's pretty good, and I would definitely say I can get stronger.
Okay. Well, I mean, I definitely feel like you've built a great team behind you, and you're definitely on the right path to winning. I would say possibly a very good chance, a gold medal at the Olympics. What would that mean to you? What would it mean to you to win gold at the Olympics?
It would mean a lot. I would love to bring it home for sure.
Okay. So what do you do? Another big thing, kind of like to go with school and everything you got going on. What do you do to stay motivated and focused when you're faced with setbacks in training or say a competition or a fight?
Well, I always look at what I have accomplished and what I still can accomplish and what's coming up.
Okay.
and like who I'm fighting. So I know that I have to work hard because I know that they're working hard. So I have to work harder.
Okay. Do you study fighters, or do you like know in advance who you're going to be fighting so you're able to study them a little bit and be prepared?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Isn't it in July? I think the girls' tournament coming up in July. Don't they like match you?
Do they pre-match you?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a big advantage if they do give you names prior to give you a little bit of time to prepare. Because nowadays, I mean, I know back in the day, like for me, you couldn't find tapes on me, or there was a few times where people would post my fights on YouTube or something, and I would make them take it down. I'm like, hey,
there would be like a random person who would post, like one of the girls I fought in nationals, my fight's just right on YouTube. And I think it's the coach that I fought, like the girl that was coach.
Well, I mean, if there's it didn't happen often because I mean, this was 10, I retired 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, but there was people that would post my fights on YouTube, and I would immediately contact them or YouTube if I had to and say, that's me. I didn't give them permission because I didn't want people to be able to study me. Mm-hmm. So you're not just going to turn on the internet and study me.
I think with international, I think they should be able to get film on.
Yes.
Because I know the dual meets that they used to have. I'm not sure how many more of those they do. But, you probably will be able to get some film through whoever the official USA Boxing. I don't know on that for sure, but you might be able to do it.
I know that whenever the brackets come up, but like the girls that sign up in her weight class, we always like there's like a as a coach, you're allowed to look up the boxers' records. So like I'll look up their records, look up the girls that they fought, and then her dad usually buys all of the videos, and then like he'll send them to me, and then I watch them, and then we'll like look and see what combinations that I know Zion can hit them with, and then we'll work on that. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like my fights just because I didn't want people to be able to study me. And I'm like, if you're going to study me, you're going to work to get my videos. It's not just going to be on the internet. You're not just going to turn it on and study.
Yeah, I think the good thing with Zion is like she's always changing. So it's like no matter what they try to study, they're not going to figure her out.
Yeah. a lot of different weapons in the tank, and able to adjust and change and do different things each time out. So that's awesome. So Zion, I know that you have this phrase that you and your supporters and all wear on your shirts. It says Youngstown bleeds for this. Mm-hmm. So can you tell everyone where that phrase came from and what it means to you?
Well, that came from when I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, when I was still like just learning boxing. Because I'm pretty sure I went to nationals at like 10 or 11. But I'd say I was like 9 years old, and I sparred. And I was all bloody. My face, like there was blood all over. And then it was posted on the internet. And then my dad came up with it, like this saying, Youngstown bleeds for this.
Okay. I mean, I like it. I don't like the background story of you having to get all bloody because some little boy wanted to be a little much or whatever the case may be. But I like that you guys turned that around into something positive. I mean, I like the saying. And I think it's cool that you guys all wear the shirts. So me personally, I never got to experience like the traveling and doing all the tournaments and stuff. Similar to Alecia said, in my amateur career, I did do the Chicago Golden Gloves and the Chicago Nationals. And I got titles from that, but I never got to do like the traveling part of it. So can you tell us what it's like being able to travel at such a young age all over the place, and some of your favorite places that you visited?
That's like one of my favorite parts actually, is the traveling. A couple places we had to drive, and sometimes if it's like more than like 15 hours, we usually would fly. But my favorite place would probably be Kansas City, because it was just so clean there and I liked it. And we got to go in the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium, and it was really fun.
What was that like?
It was pretty cool. It was really big in there. But, like, we weren't just in the stadium. Like, we got to almost go on the field. Like, we were right there because no one was in there.
We kind of snuck in.
We didn't really sneak in because the door was open. and we just
Well,
went
if
in.
it's open, it means come in, right?
Yeah, right. It was open,
Maybe.
and no one was in there, and we just got to take pictures and stuff, and it was really cool
That's awesome.
They wanted to jump off down on the
on the field.
on the
but
field,
we didn't do
but
that.
Yeah. And that's an amazing experience. And I know that firsthand because I actually went to a Chicago Bears game. But I got to go on the field and was one of the people, me and my husband were one of the people that got to hold the flag. Like before the game starts, you know, they're out there like with the American flag on the field when they do like the anthem and stuff. So we actually got to go down there and hold the flag. So it was like, it was awesome, like being on. So like I can imagine being down there. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, and also I would say, North Carolina, where I just fought, I also loved it there because when we were in, where was that one place at? Like
the Winston-Salem.
Yeah, the Winston-Salem. It was really clean there, and we got to see like some NASCAR place because apparently there's like Winston-Salem Cup there. And I love driving there because we got to see how beautiful the mountains were and stuff.
Okay. Awesome.
And I was actually born there too.
That's awesome. Yeah. That would probably be my favorite part too, would be like seeing all this stuff. And you're only 13, so you're gonna see so much more stuff. It's like amazing. So I know you, from the sounds of it, like you're all in with this boxing thing and you're gonna take it far. I'm assuming after the Olympics, you're probably planning on going pro at some point in time.
Yeah, I would say probably at like 21, probably.
Okay.
20 or 21.
What would you say? I mean, I obviously probably everybody knows, but what would be like your overall goal, like before you're completely done with boxing in the pro game? Like, what's your vision?
For
Is it like just winning a world title? Is it WBC champ? Is it?
Yeah, it would be the WBC. That would be the one that I would want to get. I want to get all of them, but like my main one would be that one.
Well, yeah, the main one. Yeah, that was my main goal too before I retired. So at least I accomplished that, and I'm sure Kelly probably feels the same way. I mean, was that the most important belt to you, or you just wanted, or did it even matter?
Yeah, well, you know, as being a pro fighter, I mean, if you get a title shot, title shot's a title shot. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the WBC is a very prestigious belt and always has been. So, you know, you've had it, and you know how hard it is to get, and yeah. So, kind of, you know, in that situation, it was like whatever was available, and the time I came up, you know, they were available. I still wish I had had all of them, you know, if Taylor wouldn't vacate them, but yeah. So I would say for me, I mean, the ring belt's really big. It's not one that you could really fight for, but you know, that's the one that tells you that, you know, supposedly you are the champ. But yeah, so but overall, the WBC is nice. I mean, you get the WBC. That's a great accomplishment as a professional fighter. Yeah, so, and I'm sure Z will be going after that one. So
yeah, I totally agree. 100%. And I mean, back in my time, like before, when I was fighting, like there wasn't even undisputed for women. Like it wasn't even an option. I don't know. It just didn't happen. So obviously I would have loved to have been an undisputed champion. I was just lucky enough that I got the WBC title before I retired. It was hard enough just to get title fights, let alone getting more than one. I mean, the girls did it, but I didn't have promoter, manager, none of that stuff. It was just me and my husband. The most money I made for my WBC title was $4,000. The men made you know how much the guys make. I made $4,000 for a week in Mexico, plus all that stuff. That it was in Mexico against Mia St. John. So that was just a huge accomplishment in my time, in my era. That was, you know,
absolutely
that we could get. But now, like all the girls are getting undisputed. So I know it makes me wish that I was maybe a few years younger. I would come out of retirement because I can tell you the girls in my weight class that have the undisputed titles, I could take them. It makes you hungry, but I'm just happy to see that the opportunities are there for the up and coming girls. and that the girls are finally starting to make some money. It's not equal, but it's way better than it was when I was fighting. And that you're getting opportunities for undisputed and all this, just like the men. So I guess looking back, Zion, have you followed women's boxing somewhat, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Looking back from boxing, back in the day to where it is now, how do you feel like it's improving? Do you think it's like on the right track? Like, what do you think is next, or what we deserve next?
Yeah, I would say it's on the right track. I feel like there could be, like, I was pretty happy with the Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, because it was actually a main event first time I forget where it was. But I think they should do more stuff like that and stuff.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And that was historic and huge for women's boxing as well. I was kind of disappointed that the rematch, still don't know what happened with Amanda Serrano, but supposedly she has an injury, but it still has yet to been say what. But so
I heard there was supposed to be a second one, though, I thought.
Well, they had signed the contract for the rematch, but then it came out that Amanda was injured, but they've still yet to say how or why. She's still at stuff, so I don't know what's wrong, but she's supposed to be fighting Cameron now, I believe.
So when you watched that, right?
I did.
Who do you think won?
Katie Taylor.
Okay.
Who do you think won?
Amanda Serrano.
She didn't do it. I gave Amanda my personal opinion on this, and a lot of people have asked me this because I'm a fighter, but if you really go back and watch every single round.
Yeah, I think I have to rewatch it. Am I doing it?
Rewatch it.
Okay, but there's one fight. Amanda Serrano and Delphine Persoon. The first one, I feel like Delphine Persoon. The second one, I don't know. The first one, definitely.
Yes, I definitely agree with that too. And I thought it was a tremendous fight between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Don't get me wrong. They're both phenomenal fighters. I tried to fight Amanda several times when we were fighting at the same time. She's just still fighting, and I had another kid, so I retired. But as far as that goes, there was the one round where she hurt her was her best round, and there was a couple other rounds that she won. But if you go back and watch it, I think you'll rethink that Katie won more rounds. You can't base it off that one round where she almost had her, because she didn't, and then Katie came back strong. Kelly, did you watch the fight? What do you think?
I didn't. I caught clips of it, but I did not get to see that one.
Okay.
So,
well, I was to say, we'll see what Kelly thinks about the fight. Yeah. But Alecia, what did you think? You thought Amanda won?
I watched it for the second time. I thought Katie Taylor did win.
Okay. So yeah, Zion, watch it again. I think you'll see the difference. It was a very, very close fight. Don't get me wrong, but I think you'll see. I do think we'll see a second one eventually, but I do believe Katie Taylor now is signed to fight Cameron now instead, because Amanda had to pull out for one reason or another. It's injury, I guess. So as far next, can all three of you kind of tell us what you think of women's boxing today and how far you guys all feel like it's come, and how much more we need to grow?
Yeah, go ahead, Alecia.
Well, I think it's came really far, except for, like you said, like the pay for the females isn't as good. And then I think they're still trying to push for the 3-minute rounds for the females as well. When I was fighting amateur, I fought the 4 2-minute rounds. I actually liked the 4 2 minutes anyways, but I think it's come a long way. I mean, it's still growing, it's evolving. I'm seeing tons of women coming up. We're actually going to do, for the first time, I think, in our town, we're going to do an all women's card in October for breast cancer awareness. And I have some females that I'm training now on that. And she wants me to fight, but that's only if Kelly will help me.
Listen.
Because I need help.
My last fight, but we didn't actually fully, but I said, if I stop the girl, then I'm fighting. Alecia has to fight on the show. And I did. So hopefully she does.
Yeah. So it sounds like, Alecia, you're going to be lacing up the gloves again.
But yeah, no, I mean, and like what they're saying, I think it's definitely coming around. You're getting the big fights, and you hear the names like Katie and Serrano, and it's like anything, though. The marketing, the marketing and promoting is going to be a big part. I think, you see the UFC, the women fighters in UFC is starting to get a big following now, bigger than the boxing, and I think that's what it's going to take in boxing. Same with the guys. If you look at the heavyweight division in the United States right now, since Wilder came in, but he's the only American champion really right now. You need that one name to come in and kind of like bring the attention back to it, and that's all it's going to take. And I think once it catches on, and you're starting to see that a little bit now with some of the names and some of the diehard boxing people are following it. Like I said, I can't remember what I had going on, but I try to catch the replays. But like my brother watched it, and he said it was probably fight of the year. Even out of the men. And so that's what it's going to take. You keep getting matchups like that. That's huge, and that's going to be big. So
yeah,
I know it'll catch fire.
Definitely. That another thing that you had mentioned, Alecia, is about the 3-minute rounds. So I have kind of like a tough talk with a lot of people about the 3-minute rounds because they all ask me, and not that I haven't had an opportunity maybe to do a 3-minute rounds. It's been discussed back when I was fighting the 3 minutes, and people always ask. Here's my thing with it. And then I'll see what you guys think of it. But me personally, what I think with the 3-minute rounds for females is every female that boxes can fight 3-minute rounds because every female trains 3-minute rounds. So we can fight 3-minute rounds. We could do the 10 3-minute rounds. We could even do the 12 3-minute rounds like the men do. Here's the problem. We already got, kicked in the behind how much over the years as far as equality in the sport. And this is all sports across the board, not just female boxing, female sports across the board. I would never sign a contract for a 3-minute round and not have equality in pay as a man at the same level. It doesn't have to be like a fighter that say me and Kelly had the same record or we're at the same rank. I would not sign a fight for a 3-minute round and fight those extra 12 minutes or whatever, 10 minutes, unless I had equality in pay. Because why am I'm already getting, screwed over as it is being a female and not getting equality. Why would I give you an extra 3 minutes for the same pay?
I know the elite females now in the amateurs, they do fight 3 minutes.
There's a youth.
The elite females.
Yeah. I mean, but that's just my personal opinion is I don't feel like women should give in to the publicity and everybody wanting women to fight 3-minute rounds until the pay is equal. Yeah. Because we're already not getting paid the same for 2 minutes. And now you want us to fight the 3 minutes for the same, not the same amount of pay. I mean, that's just where my mind goes with it. I think we deserve the same pay if we're going to fight the same time. I mean, that's just my thoughts. I mean, do you agree with that? Or do you think they should just be fighting 3 minutes?
I agree.
I mean, Kelly, what do you think? Or do you think women should be fighting 3 minutes? I mean, this is always the topic. That's always the question I get asked.
Absolutely. Like you said, you've sparred and did the 3 rounds. It's kind of the same thing with the 15 and 12 round fights. Guys today, they don't fight 15-minute rounds or 15 rounds. It's just a matter of sparring 3 extra rounds. And same thing for women. But the unfortunate part of it is, when you get into that is, to pay, like, the promoters, that's all about numbers. So when you start getting, if Serrano's pulling in 800,000 buys, then I think she would make the same amount as, or should. Absolutely. Yeah. If one of these top women fighters pulled in 600, 700,000 buys on their own, absolutely should be paid their worth, right?
Yes.
They're going in, they're fighting, they're the ones bringing it to the table. So, I think that's going to always be the issue that promoters are going to hold on to, though, is, the number game. But yeah, as far as 3-minute rounds, though, if a woman wants to fight that and she's fighting another woman and that's what she's training to do and that's her profession, and if they could do it, which they can, and the men are doing it, I agree. That should be a call that the women fighters have and that they want to do and their decision at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I've got Michael Orr is chiming in over here. I don't want to ignore you, Michael. What's going on? Michael Orr runs several podcasts on the Talkin Fight show. He knows literally the ins and out of every fighter in the world, like people I've never even heard of. He's the man to go to for boxing info. But he says hello to everybody. And 100% women can fight 3 minutes. Yes, we can. I mean, when I trained, I did 3 minutes, 30 seconds break. I didn't even do a minute break.
I don't agree that a woman should be fighting men. I don't agree with that part.
I don't agree with that either.
Yeah, but other than that,
yeah, 6 months by Canelo.
I don't agree with that.
No,
going back to 3 minutes. So you fight 8 2 minutes or 10 2 minutes. So if you could do that, if you could do 8 2 minutes and 10 2 minutes, why couldn't you do 3? You know what I mean? That's what people don't understand. And who's ever making these must be people that never fought before making these rules.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So Zion, I guess, can I call you Z? Do I have the privilege to call you Z? Am I special enough? Okay. All right, cool. So I'm sure that you have met tons and tons of amazing, iconic fighters outside of Kelly and the ones in your general area. But can you tell us some of the other fighters that you have had the privilege of meeting, and the experiences that you had with them?
I got to meet Willie Nelson before.
Okay.
I used to actually work with him at Jack's gym before. He used to be kind of like my coach, but because after like one of the sparring, he took me. But I met him before. I met a couple fighters from like around here. Boom Boom Mancini, Jeff Lankin, and what's the other guy's name? Yeah, Harry Royal and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. What about the females?
Ray Mercer?
Oh, Ray Mercer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Didn't you?
Yeah, recently.
Yeah, I just met Ray Mercer too.
Okay. And I think you've met some of the female fighters, if I'm not mistaken.
Clarissa, you just met at the
I met Clarissa Shields before, actually, just at Nationals. And I think that was it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, who are some of your favorite?
No, I also met Chrissy Martin.
Christy Martin. I was going to say, I thought you just told me you met her.
Yeah.
So who are some of your favorite female fighters, past and present?
Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor.
He already
Do you
said
have
that.
any from before today's era that you like?
I mean, I really like every fighter. I wouldn't say I don't like.
I'm making you think.
What about Ann Wolf?
I don't know. I don't know who it is.
You don't know?
I've heard of her, but I haven't actually watched her fight, so I don't know.
Ann Wolf scared. I had her on my podcast. She scared me. You see the way? Hey, she. If you train with her, she's a brutal trainer too.
Yes, she is. She is definitely 100% old school. I mean, like old school, like Rocky movies, like Rocky 1 old school.
Like, what's this rope for? And the next thing you know, she's like, you're pulling that truck.
She is so hardcore. So hardcore. That's funny. So so Ann Wolf, like I'm sure you've seen on YouTube, like the one punch knockout with the really tall Vonda Ward, like
Vonda Ward. Yeah, she was from Cleveland. Yep. She was from Cleveland, Vonda Ward, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think she was. Okay. Zion, what advice would you give to the younger girls, like when you first started, that are up and coming in boxing and starting boxing? What's the advice that you would give to them?
I would say stay with it, because sometimes you'll have losses, not want to go anymore. But then I would just stay with it, not give up.
Move your head, bend your knees.
Yeah.
Sit down on your punches.
Yeah.
I think track really helped her out with
Sit
that.
down on my punches.
Yeah, I
and
think
twist with them with hips.
When she first came to the gym, she would never do squats. I tried to make her. She would not do it. But now since she started,
she don't like the squats?
Who, me?
Yeah,
hated
Zion
squats.
doesn't like the squats?
No, I don't. Not unless they're sophomore or juniors. Sometimes I don't even have them squat. I'm not big on that. It has its place, but for boxers, not really. I'd rather do duck walks and functional strength.
But since
So
she
how'd you
started
get into
doing
the
that,
What's that?
Alecia, how did you get her to do the squats? Was track helped her
Well,
with that?
I think track helped her with that finally, with her legs.
Strengthen her
'Cause
legs?
yep,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So now do you like doing squats now, Zion?
I don't like doing squats, but I don't really need to because now I sit down with my punches, so I'm good now.
Well, so now you don't have to do it anymore. Well, that's a positive.
Yeah.
This kind of goes for the coaches. Next couple questions. How do you both keep Zion motivated and focused during training?
I just go about when she comes in and if she's energetic and feeling good, and she has the goal set, my job as strength and conditioning coach is just keep putting her through it and read her, see how she's feeling, see her energy level, how that's all going. Usually I work off of that. So
Yeah, and then she comes in. She usually has a lot of energy, but if she's getting tired, we just tell her, or I'll say, Zion, that jab was weak. Like, you look pretty weak today. And then she'll just start.
That makes you upset. You get mad when they do that and then make you work harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good that your attitude drives you to do better and not make you want to just not do it at all or lose focus.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm working with my daughter right now on pitching, and she gets really frustrated when she doesn't do well for softball. And sometimes, she just wants to walk away. And I'm like, oh, no. We're not a quitting family. We don't do that around here. We got to just keep working. But yeah, what do you think is the most important trait for a fighter to have? I mean, obviously with working young with her, Zion's so young, what is like the most important trait you guys feel that a fighter needs to have?
Consistency, just being committed.
Yeah, I was gonna say dedication. That's in boxing. You always, I'm sure you heard it. You could have all the talent in the world, but if you're not in condition or if you're not in shape to be able to execute, what good is it?
Exactly. So. Totally. I 100% agree with that. 100%. How do you develop and improve her skills in the gym?
Just correcting her when I see her if her hands are down, if she's not moving her head, just keep implementing that and keep telling her over and over and over again. It's like a revolving door, the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, totally. Same. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's like you just have to keep repeating it over and over, and eventually it'll stick.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I do the same thing with my daughter right now. She gets so mad when she's practicing pitching, and I'll say the same exact thing every time she throws a pitch. Well, why do you say the same thing? Because that's what you need to do. I can see it. Michael Orr chimes in and says, I'm not sure if you have asked this already, Brooke. What was the motivation and influence that first got you to compete? Okay, so Zion, I think we kind of talked on this, Mike, but I'll let her answer it again since you missed it. Zion, he wants to know what was the motivation and influences that first got you to start competing?
Well, I used to actually, it was hard to find girls to fight when we were doing club shows and stuff that were my weight, my age and stuff. So it was hard to find them. So I eventually got to a certain point where we had to go to nationals. And then we finally got to nationals. But I found some equipment in a family member's basement and then just started using it from there. And then I got into boxing.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the same issues in Chicago, finding girls to fight at club shows. I had a few club shows, but almost all my fights were at the Gloves or at the Nationals, the Golden Glove Nationals in Chicago. And it was funny because the very last year that I competed, my coach, I was with Sam Colonna at the time. I'm sure, Kelly, you know who Sam Colonna is. I think everybody knows who Sam Colonna is. Alecia, you probably know who that is. Brian, you might not know, but he's a well-known trainer, especially in Chicago. But he was my trainer in the beginning. And we waited until the last day that you could sign up for the gloves because it was so hard for me to get fights. Nobody wanted to fight me. And my weight class was featherweight, 125 I was fighting at that time. And it was full, like the list was full. So we signed up on the last day. And then by the time we got to the next day to fight, everybody went either up or down a weight. So I was the only one left in 125-pound weight division. So that was what made me decide, okay, it's time to go pro, because I'm not going to just keep not getting fights. Winning on a walkover to me was like trash.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I said about the Junior Olympics, because like, I still won it, but it just didn't feel
the same. Like, I'm like, I won the national Golden Gloves again, but like I didn't even fight anybody. So like I don't even feel like I didn't even want the belt and everything. I'm just like, for what? Like I didn't earn it. Everybody just went away. So yeah, that was like my point where I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. If I'm gonna keep fighting, I might as well get paid something and just go pro. So that was like my initial reaction as far as what made me go pro. Again, for the coaches, so can you tell us what have been some of the biggest challenges you've both had to face in coaching outside of, I mean, obviously you both are fighters, but what's the hardest thing you faced as a coach?
Maybe just parents, parents sometimes.
You know what? And that makes total sense to me that you said that.
Yeah. Mine hasn't been parents, but
not mine.
I understand. But yeah, you know, mine. Have had a handful of fighters come over to my gym and want me to work with them. And again, I always tell them, you know, right now I'm not doing a boxing gym, so I'm purely strength conditioning. But from working with the handful of fighters, the biggest thing is, you know, as a coach is getting over some of the habits that they were taught, or some of the like, again, going back to the basic fundamentals. I mean, basic fundamentals is where you generate power, where you get leverage, how you could move off your foot, how you could have step angle, shifting the weight of the body pretty much, you know. And I had some kids that would come in and it looked like they were talking on a CB radio or one of those like semi-truck radios, throwing a jab and keeping the hand in front of their face like they were sneezing, and you know, different tricks for that. So yeah, that's the hardest thing is when you get someone, you know, you got to kind of go back to it and start them over a little bit. That's kind of
habits.
Yeah, that's the hard part, and especially when you're not doing it you're not being a trainer at that point. You know, you're more key to working on strength and conditioning and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's very, very hard to break old habits. Very hard to break habits, especially if you learn them from a coach. You like trust them and assume that they're teaching you the right way, and then you go to someone else and they're like, "That's totally wrong. Like we got to start all over." And you're like, "What?" Like, no. Like, and it's hard. It's hard to break things. I know from experience. It's definitely hard. Michael Orr also asks. He said, this one is for Kelly and Alecia. What are the goal for the end of the year, and where would you like to be in the next 2 years?
For me, keep doing a strength conditioning with Z and making sure she's as ready as she could be, as far as the speed, agility, reflexes, reaction time stuff. So.
Yeah, he just means like with Zion, like our goal for her for like the next 2 years.
That's what he means, yeah, for the next couple of years for her, obviously before the Olympics, because that's a little farther off than that.
Yeah, so it's just pretty much, you know, increasing her boxing skill, and then she has basically continuing to compete and win in the nationals. And I think when she becomes a junior, she'll be able to maybe do some of the international games. So
yeah.
That'll be probably in the next 2 years for her.
Yeah.
The goal.
Yeah, that'll definitely be fun. That'll definitely be fun. Zion, was there anything specific that you wanted to talk about or that you wanted to let everybody know, or anything that we might not have talked about you want to talk about?
Not really.
Not really. You're so funny. Do you want to send a shout out to anybody?
All the people that donated and stuff and supported me in internationals.
Okay. Let everybody know where they can follow your career. Like, where can they follow you?
They can follow me on Facebook, Zion Hensley, and That's it.
Is it like a fan page?
Yeah.
Yeah, your fan page on there.
Mhm.
Okay. Alecia, Kelly, is there anything that you would like to add, or anything that you guys would like to discuss that I didn't bring up, or we should know about her, Zion?
I think we touched on everything, and we know she's one tough cookie.
Definitely. I guess Michael had one more question. So it says, Zion, do you find it difficult to balance both academic responsibilities and the comment to boxing? I'm sure the connection to boxing. We did talk about that, Mike. You said she's a straight A student.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly it must come easy to her. She gets most of her work done at school, she says. So it just probably comes just like boxing. It just comes naturally, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have it. I don't really find it a struggle.
Okay. And hopefully it will continue that way. I mean, it sounds like you're doing great and you're staying focused in making sure that your grades are good and you're keeping everything together. So that's good.
Okay.
Grades are important.
No.
Commitment, he said. Your commitment to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think she definitely stays focused from what the coaches, and she has said she's very committed to everything. Straight A student that does well in school.
Yeah. And also, shout out to Youngstown Pizza Reviews.
Pizza Reviews.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Shout out to Youngstown Pizza Reviews. Anybody else? How about maybe a shout out to your dad?
Yeah. Shout out to my dad because he's watching.
I know.
And shout out to the gym because they're probably all watching and we're all working hard.
All right. To all your friends, family, fans, all that good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I definitely want to say that I am super excited that I got to speak with you today. I'm definitely looking forward to watching your journey and your progress throughout the years to come in your career. I can't wait to see you achieve all your goals that you're setting for yourself. I know you will. You're definitely focused and you're on the right path. Hopefully we'll have the opportunity to meet up one day. Maybe I will try to make it out to the tournament in July to support you. And maybe we can talk sometime then. I wish you nothing but the best. I'm definitely always here though. If you have any questions or if you want to reach out, your dad's got my number. So if you need anything, just let me know. I want to thank you guys all, especially Kelly and Alecia, for taking the time, both of you, to come on the show with Zion. I know she really wanted you guys here. So I appreciate you supporting her in that way.
Thank you. And one more shout out to El Jalapeno as well for putting on the show that we just had.
Okay. Are you sure there's no more shout outs? Kelly, Alecia, does she need to shout out anybody else?
No.
Not that I know of.
Her grandma and grandpa.
That's family.
Yeah, grandma, grandpa,
Family, friends,
all your fans.
Yeah.
all your fans, people who've supported you throughout your career, all that good stuff, right? The city of Youngstown. How about that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. I appreciate you guys so much. It was a pleasure meeting you guys. Thank you again for coming on the show. I'm
Thanks,
sure we'll all
Chris.
be in touch soon. And Zion, I look forward to you taking home some more medals. I'll be watching.
Thank you. It was nice meeting you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. You too.